course they fucking score.
This Monday Night Football NFL Week 5 Betting Picks edition of the NFL Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Game Time. Snag the tickets without the stress. Use promo code SGPN on your first purchase to save $20. Download the Game Time app and make sure to use promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers where you can win up to 100 times your money. That's right. Turn $5 into $500 in one game. Plus, every Sunday, they're giving away $100,000. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus of up to $500. Lastly, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. Welcome, everyone, to the NFL Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Saturday, October the 7th, currently 2:06 on the East Coast. Here to get into the NFL Week 5 Monday Night Football game between the Green Bay Packers visiting the Las Vegas Raiders. And joining me here to help me break it down, as usual, you guys know him as the voice of the NBA Gambling Podcast, the MLB Gambling Podcast, and of course here on the NFL Gambling Podcast, it's Lonte Smith. Lonte, how's it going, my man?
Not bad, man. Good to be back with you talking some football. It might be an intriguing game here. The number indicates it could be a tight one, so I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to breaking it down. Hopefully, we can get actually a good game on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, it's going to be a non-conference matchup here between the Green Bay Packers and the Las Vegas Raiders, and the line has moved in a couple of different ways. Obviously, we'll get to the injury news in this game surrounding the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders, and that is going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. So we'll just start first with the injury reports for both the teams, and we'll kind of go through the side and the total and player props as we usually do. So currently, as it stands right now, I'll start with the Raiders side because that is the bigger news in this story. Jimmy Garoppolo, who missed last week's game against the Chargers, being in concussion protocol, has passed concussion protocol. He did practice on Friday, and all indications are that he is going to be starting this game for the Las Vegas Raiders against the Green Bay Packers. Also, Davante Adams is officially listed as questionable in this game. He did miss practice on Friday. That's usually a big indicator if a player is going to play or not in a game, but he does have the extra day because this is a Monday Night Football game. He left the game last week against the Chargers briefly with a shoulder injury. He did return for the Raiders offense. Much needed after a very slow start for Davante Adams. He really picked it up, especially in that fourth quarter offensively for that Raiders offense led by Aiden O'Connell. But officially listed as questionable. We'll find out more hopefully by Monday, obviously, if he's going to be able to play in this game or not. On the other side, for the Green Bay Packers, they do get some reinforcements back. Christian Watson did return last week for the Green Bay Packers. He was on a snap count last week, and also Aaron Jones returned last week for the Green Bay Packers as well. Expect both of those guys to have an increased role in this game against the Las Vegas Raiders here. On the season here, Lonte, the Las Vegas Raiders, the home team, are sitting with a 1-3 record in that AFC West, and just a whole bunch of coaching blunders thus far this season, especially by Josh McDaniels. I think it was it the Sunday Night Football game against the Steelers where he opted to kick the field goal when they were inside the 10-yard line.
Yep.
Thinking, well, they did get the football back, they did get the stop. But after that, it was just too tall of a task for them to come back and win that game against the Steelers. And then last week, the Chargers got the football back. And fortunately for the Raiders, they were able to get the stop on a 4th and 1 on a quarterback sneak by Justin Herbert. They got great field position. We're in line to at least either go for the get the game tying touchdown and go kick the extra point to tie the game up, or go for 2 to try to win the game. But Aiden O'Connell throws an interception, which pretty much wrapped up that game for the Las Vegas Raiders. And on the other side for the Green Bay Packers, they are currently sitting on a record of 2-2. They are coming off of the Thursday night football loss to the division rival, the Detroit Lions. Looking to get that a nasty taste out of their mouth. I mean, they fell behind early in that game. I think it was like 27-3 at the half.
Yep.
And it was just too tall of a hill for the Packers to come back and climb out of. So they have extended rest from Thursday night all the way now here to Monday Night Football here. But I guess we could talk about these teams here, what you've kind of seen from both these teams here, Lonte. Let's start with the Green Bay Packers, currently sitting at 2-2 in that NFC North division. Obviously, like I mentioned, they're getting some guys back on the offensive side. That's only going to help Jordan Love. But what have you kind of seen from this Packers team that, maybe does excite you or doesn't excite you about this team?
Yeah, so it's pretty much been a mixed bag. I mean, we know they were missing Watson and Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones had missed not last game, but the game before that he missed. Right. Because he was injured in that first game. Mm-hmm. Watson was on a limited snap count last week, so I'm interested to see how he looks. They were missing a couple of key defensive guys as well. Bakhtiari is out for the year. I think you mentioned that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't think we've seen a complete team yet for Green Bay here. The main thing that I'm noticing is they're not really able to run the ball. I know a lot of people were higher on A.J. Dillon everybody's pretty much higher on the backup whenever he comes in spurts, and then he gets the full workload and he can't do anything at all. Yeah. He actually has been one of the least effective rushers in the NFL, and that's with starting pretty much a game and a half for Aaron Jones, who went out early in one of those games. So I'm kind of like up in the air on him. I do like Jordan Love, what he's done with the limited weapons that he's had. I mean, you got to think, like, I think in game 1 when they played the Bears, I don't think he had a receiver outside of Romeo Doubs, who was a second-year guy who played any football last year. I think he had Wicks, the rookie Jaden Reed, who's been pretty good, Musgrave, who's a rookie, and so I'm interested to see how they look going forward, fully healthy. So I want to see what they look like here. I mean, I know they'll just still be missing Bakhtiari, and of course Watson's getting back healthy. So I'm interested to see in the future what they look like around maybe like week 6 or 7 when they get fully integrated with the system and get those guys back and get some reps with them. When is their bye week? That's probably when I'll be looking at them the most.
For the Packers?
Yeah.
Let me see here. Green Bay Packers, their bye week is going to be. So they have the Monday Night Football game here. I think next week is their bye week.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect to get those guys an extra rest, and it's Monday night, so they'll be extra rested here. So I'm interested to see what they look like after that bye week when they get those guys integrated into the system, and Jordan Love has a little bit more weapons to work with. Aaron Jones, of course, being probably the most dynamic weapon on the team. Him being there adds another dimension to that offense and allows them to not only be able to pass the ball to him out of the back, split him out in the slot or whatever, but it also gives them an added dynamic in the run game. So right now I'm kind of undecided on them. I do think they'll be better once they get that bye week in them and they get those guys back healthy.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, they've been dealing with injuries, especially on the offensive side, right? I mean, it's if you're a Packers fan, you're definitely excited, at least at this point of the season, where you get another wide receiver back in Christian Watson. You're getting one of your top running back in Aaron Jones back, and that gives Jordan Love a lot more weapons. So on the offensive side, I think that the Green Bay Packers definitely have the weapons. It's about Matt LaFleur finding the opportunities for Jordan Love and getting those guys the football. Before we get over to the Raiders side of things here, let me tell everyone about the Game Time app. If you're looking to buy tickets to your favorite events, that experience shouldn't have to be stressful. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets that you're looking to buy and start getting hyped for the fun you're going to have. Some of the great things about their app, I love they have some great flash deals. And like I mentioned, last-minute tickets right up to the day of the event. Easy to find and buy tickets for every type of event in your area. And the best part that I love about their app is that before you actually buy tickets for a particular seat, you can actually see an image of your seat view at that particular venue before you actually purchase the tickets. Their lowest price are guaranteed event cancellation protection as well. So forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and much more. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. And if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. That's how confident they are in their prices. So all I got to do is download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code SGPN for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account, redeem code SGPN for $20 off. Download Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And we're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks actually have value. So stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching the Hall of Fame Bets app to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Game Time. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right, Lonte, let's talk about the Raiders here because obviously Josh McDaniels, not the highest IQ head coach in the league. Yeah, I'm trying to put it nicely. Again, we talked about the Steelers game a few weeks back where he decided to kick the field goal, and that was pretty much the rest of the story for the Las Vegas Raiders in that game. But I know they've also been dealing with some injuries. Like I mentioned, they do get Jimmy Garoppolo back in this game and still waiting on the status of Davante Adams, who is dealing with the shoulder injury. Josh Jacobs last season led the league in rushing yards, total rushing yards. And this season, he just hasn't got off to a good start. He's only averaging 2.7 yards per carry. But what have you kind of seen from this Raiders team that obviously doesn't excite you if you're a Raiders fan?
Yeah, I mean, much like the Packers, it's kind of been quarterback driven with Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, he's had a long injury history, but I thought that the first game against who did they play in week 1?
Week 1, the Raiders had
because they should have won that game. It was Denver, right? They won that game.
Yeah, they won. They went into Denver and won that game, but since then they've lost 3 straight games against the Bills, the Steelers, and the Chargers.
Yeah, so nothing to be ashamed of with the Bills, especially with the Bills coming off that loss in week 1. I think that was a good spot for the Bills. But yeah, those other two pretty much unexcusable. I would blame the Pittsburgh loss more so on the coaching staff being I guess negative EV in some of the decisions that we're making. And again, you're playing with a rookie quarterback. Although Aiden O'Connell had some promising preseason and he looked pretty good, just wasn't ready in week 1. I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of either. But you mentioned it at the top. I mean, they're 32nd in rush yards per game, 26th in rush yards allowed. So they're not able to run the ball and control the clock, which is then allowing Jimmy G to have to basically go out and win the game, which is something that he's not known for doing. I just think they got to get Jacobs going more here. You mentioned the yards per carry. I mean, he is bottom 5 in rush efficiency. Davante Adams has been pretty much their offense.
Yeah.
And if they're going to be without him, it's a tough hill to climb here, especially with a Packers secondary who I kind of like. I think they got some advantageous players against this Raiders secondary, and Jimmy G is not known for dicing people up, especially coming off a concussion injury. So I'm kind of undecided on them. I do want to like them in this spot, but I'm kind of like the number kind of got away from me earlier. I had bet 1 on the open, but right now, if it gets to 3, I'm probably going to be back on the Packers, especially without Davante Adams, because he just adds a whole nother dynamic to the offense. I mean, we saw last game they were just feeding him. He was open even if he wasn't open. O'Connell was just feeding him, and I thought that Garoppolo looked good in the short stint that he had. I mean, he's already comfortable with McDaniels' offense. But my main thing is I wanted him to get to tight ends going. Like Matthew Meyer, he's only got 1 catch on the season. I mean, you drafted him pretty high. Was he 2nd round, right? 2nd or 3rd round?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you might want to utilize him. It's not like you got any other tight ends that are, capable of doing some of the things that he could be capable of doing. I mean, you don't know what he has if you don't put him out there and show him. I mean, everybody needs a safety valve over the middle. And I think the two tight end sets will actually get the run game going as well. Once you get the run game going, Jimmy Garoppolo is really good off play action. He was under Shanahan. He was under McDaniels when he was in New England. So I think they got to get back to running the football, man. They're running the football. They're just not running it successfully. So I think Jacobs has got to get back going. Maybe missing the training camp. He had to knock the rust off. Maybe that gets going here. But the Packers defense is going to be tough to run against. But I think first and foremost, they got to get the run game going to open up that pass game and those bootlegs for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, so let's get into the side here. We'll work our way to the total and then player props and then touchdown scores as we usually do here. So currently, as it stands right now, this line is at -2.5 in favor of the Raiders. Obviously, that line has moved throughout the week on the news of Jimmy Garoppolo being the starter in this game for the Raiders quarterback position. Which way are we going here, Lonte, on as far as the spread?
Yeah, right now I'm leaning to the Raiders. I want to find out about Davante Adams, of course, because I still want to be on the Raiders, but I'd rather get a better number if he's out, because the line is probably going to drop at least. I think Davante Adams is one of those non-quarterbacks who's at least worth a point, maybe a half a point. I would say a half a point here, maybe I guess 3/4 of a point, just depending on how you want to magnify, and especially going against his old team. I think this is going to be a big spot for him. I think he actually does end up playing, but I'm leaning towards the Raiders. I just think they'll be able to get the run game going. The offensive line for the Packers was a real issue last game. I do think that Max Crosby will be able to get to Jordan Love, and Jordan Love was having some issues early on. Like he was missing guys, he was dirting the ball, and that could come with just not having a lot of weapons, not having a lot of work with those guys. And he's only got chemistry to me with one guy, and that's Romeo Doubs. And I know we'll talk about him in the player prop segment, but outside of him, I mean, it's not much. It's not much there for him. He's actually third in completion over expectations, so he's putting the ball in the right places. But two of those guys, Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed, they're both bottom 5 in catch percentage. So he's getting the ball to them. They're just dropping it. So Romeo Doubs is the only reliable target that he has. And the secondary for the Raiders, I mean, it's not good. They're also real bad with holding and pass interference. So if Jordan Love can get some good snaps off, maybe catch him off sides on a free play or two, that could come back to haunt the Raiders. But yeah, I mean, haunt the Packers. So I'm leaning to the Raiders right now, but I just want to wait to see if Adams plays, and if he doesn't play, I'd rather get a better number. But if he does play, I think 2.5. Anything under 3 is fine.
Now, I'll mention this about the Green Bay Packers. I think that, since Matt LaFleur has taken over as the head coach of this team, that they've bounced back very nicely at following a loss, and also in the underdog role under Matt LaFleur, they've been really good. And I know a lot of those stats are with Aaron Rodgers as a starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, but just to put into context, Matt LaFleur is 14-4 against the spread after a loss, 16-5 against the spread. That's 80% as an underdog, including 13-7 straight up. And I believe I did read that with Jordan Love, they are 4-0 against the spread as an underdog in those spots here as well. I really can't. I really can't put my money on Josh McDaniels, man. I just feel like that he's just going to find a way to just make another decision that's going to make you scratch your head. And I know that I think that Davante Adams, if he does end up playing in this game, that he should have a big game going up against his former team. And, you kind of want to stick it to your former team, whether you left on good terms or you didn't live on good terms. But I think that if he does play, I will be on his props. Currently, we're still waiting, like I mentioned multiple times, on his status with the shoulder injury. But I'm leaning with I'm going to be on the Packers. If this number does get to 3, I'll probably add another unit, but I've already bet it at +2.5 and on the money line here as well. I just think that for this Raiders team, there's, like you mentioned, it's Davante Adams. That's pretty much the offense. And after that, it's a question mark on who else is going to step up for this Raiders team. Now, if he doesn't go in this game, who's going to be that guy for this Raiders offense? I think that just kind of makes me nervous. We talked about, some of the stats here that, as crazy as it sounds, that the passing defenses have been actually pretty good for both of these teams, it's the running game and the running defense, where, especially the running defense, I should say, is where both of these defenses are struggling. Green Bay, number 30 in the entire league, third most rushing yards are allowing, 155.3. Las Vegas Raiders are not that far behind. They're allowing the seventh most at 134.3 yards on the ground as well. So I expect, both running backs, like you mentioned, maybe Josh Jacobs, does get it going here. And, the combination of Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon are able to get it going here as well for their respective teams. Before we get over to the total here, Lonte, let me tell everyone about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play along your favorite football team all season long. Underdog has introduced Scorchers. Go 5 for 5 in pick'em contest in the Scorchers contest and enjoy a spicy 100x payout. And for a limited time, Underdog is extending the first deposit bonus of up to $500. $100,000 Sundays continue on Underdog Fantasy. 10 lucky players will win $10K each. So watch along, make picks, and maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. And when you sign up with promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit of up to $500. So again, that's Underdog Fantasy using promo code SGPN. All right, Lonte, the total currently sitting at 44.5, 45 at some books right now, has moved up since the opening number. But what are your thoughts on the total, if you have any?
Yeah, I agree with it. I like the over here. We both mentioned how they've been struggling to run the football, and it's not because of lack of attempts. Because Josh Jacobs is top 15 in rushing attempts. He's just not getting a lot of push, and some of that is on the offensive line. Some of that is on him not seeing the right hole and getting right through it. So I think both teams will be able to score here. I think we'll defensively might cause a few turnovers and some short fields. So I'm leaning towards the over. I mean, Jordan Love he's had his struggles, but he does wake up. We mentioned they got down early in that game, but he kind of woke up, got him back within 8. I think they got him back within 8, and then he just kind of fell off a little bit. But again, Aaron Jones, I think, did he either leave the game or he wasn't being put in the position to be able to do anything. I don't think with that hamstring. Is it a hamstring? I think it's a hamstring that he's working with, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, Aaron Jones back. He had an extra day of rest on the hamstring, so I think that we'll see a lot more explosiveness from the Packers offense. And with Jimmy G back, especially if Davante Adams is there, I mean, he's second in targets after Puka. I just think that both teams will maybe abandon the run if it's not working early, and they'll just start throwing the ball. And when they're throwing the ball, that could lead to either explosive plays. We know Jimmy G has the thing for turning the ball over. Jordan Love a little bit loose with the football as well. So I'm going with the over here, and I think we can see a 27-30 type of game, 27-24-ish type of game here.
Yeah. I think you mentioned it. I think that the run games will be able to get going here because of these run defenses, but and that's going to enable some play action passes, right? I think take some shots down the field. So I think that will obviously lead to explosive plays, like you mentioned, and getting into the red zone and being able to score points. So I'm leaning towards the over here as well in this game. I know traditionally primetime games have been going under, especially on Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football, but I think it's an opportunity here for both of these offenses to break out a little bit, and maybe the defense is just not playing great football right now as far as the run games do go for both of these teams. Let's get over to some player props that we do like in this game. I know the menu is a little bit limited right now as far as player props because we are waiting on the news of Davante Adams, but we do see some player props as far as guys for the Green Bay side and of that sort. But anything that did kind of catch your eye here as far as player props for this game here, Lonte?
Yeah, it's a couple that I'm waiting on that I'll probably be playing. I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs rushing receiving yards. I think that if he is able to get going on the ground against this poor rush defense of the Packers, I think he'll be able to get between 50 and 60 yards. His rush total, if I'm not mistaken, is like 72.5. I don't want to play over that, but I do think he can get right around 50 yards here and then get another, maybe 25-ish on the ground. I'm pretty sure he'll be lined right around that 70 range. So I do like that if it does come around. Anything under 75, I think I'll go under that. It'll probably come higher than that, actually, because it's 72.5 rush yards. So I'm pretty sure he'll be at least 10.5, 11.5 on the pass yard. So yeah, anything under like 95, I'll go over on Jacobs. Also like Jaden Reed over 30.5. This number is kind of all over the place. It's 30.5. I see a 34.5. I see a 35.5, but it is 130.5 hanging out there. If you can find it, I guess just for grading purposes, we can do 34.5 because that's the most widely available. But I mean, he's a deep shot. He's a deep shot guy.
Yeah.
With Watson being back, Watson's on the other going to be on the other side. He's another deep shot guy. I'm pretty sure his snaps will be uptick from here. So I think Jaden Reed over 34.5 is a good look. Maybe over his longest reception. I didn't see that, but his longest reception I think is a good play as well. I see anything else? Obviously, if Adams played, I'll be all over him. I mean, just the type of this is the type of game that he thrives in. He's pretty comfortable playing against Jair Alexander. I mean, he played against him in practice for what 3 or 4 years, so I think he'll be comfortable there. But obviously, with no lines, that was hard to dictate. But I do like the ones that are out. You need Aaron Jones over 70.5 rushing and receiving yards. We mentioned how explosive and dynamic he is in the pass game as well as the rush game. And when Dylan is on the field with him, he's able to split out in the slot and get some work done there. Jordan Love
Mhm.
has been really efficient, especially throwing on early downs. So I think he'll get the ball to Aaron Jones, extended part of that run game if they can't get it going with the short pass game. So I think he has a decent game rushing and receiving. And then Jaden Reed over 34.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, I think the one that a couple of you mentioned, Josh Jacobs. I do see his rushing yards at 72.5 right now.
You do see his
At some of the
rush receiving
books.
at all?
I don't see that. I think they
Yeah, I
only
didn't see it
have.
either.
Let me see if they updated it here
I'm pretty
because
sure they're waiting because it'll be adjusted if Adams plays.
for yeah, exactly. Let me see here if they have it. No, I don't. That there's no rusher receipt for any either team available just yet. But um, I think for Josh Jacobs. So let me go start with this. That I think number one, I think the running backs are going to have a big game. And you mentioned Josh Jacobs. When you take a look at both of these teams, they're ranked number 4 and number 5 in allowing the most receptions to the running back position. So maybe look at some type of combination of Josh Jacobs to go over on his receptions in this
Mm-hmm.
game. And also Aaron Jones as well. We saw it last week that I know it was a rookie quarterback with Aiden O'Connell back there that he had a lot of checks downs that he probably want to get to Josh Jacobs and just play it safe. But 8 receptions last week, 11 on 11 targets, 81 receiving yards. Prior to that, he had 3 receptions against the Steelers, 5 receptions against the Buffalo Bills. So I think the opportunities are going to be there for Josh Jacobs as far as his receptions go. If that number is around, I'm guessing it's probably 2.5 with VIG on it, or probably 3.5 at plus odds. Obviously, that's going to depend on if Davante Adams is going to play in this game or not. But I think this might be the game where Josh Jacobs' total yards should probably get over the projection here for this game. Aaron Jones on the other side as well. I do like his number to go over on the receptions. I think that number will probably be at 2.5. I like that to go over in this game here as well. So, and I think the automatic play, we either probably want to put it into a parlay or a same game parlay. Jimmy Garoppolo interceptions. I think that's probably an automatic bet because he's thrown at least one in every single game thus far this season, or at least in the 3 games that he has played in thus far. I'm trying to see if I can find an interception prop for him. I know his news just came out that he is going to be starting, but I don't see one just yet. But those are the kind of ones that I was looking at here, Lonte. Anything else for us as far as player props?
Yeah, let me find he's not up here, but I'm looking for AJ Dillon. Anything AJ Dillon, I'm going under on his rushing yards. I mean, he is not been good at all. Even in the absence of Aaron Jones. He's bottom 5 in rush efficiency. He's just not getting it done at all. I don't think he'll see the field as much, especially if Aaron Jones is indeed healthy. So I'll be looking for him. I don't see a number on him just yet, but I'll be on him for sure. And I don't see any tackling props or anything like that. I know you usually give out one of those, but I don't see. I think we've actually been doing really well on tackling props. So yeah, I don't see any listed just yet. So yeah, I'll just go with the one or the few that I have. I like the ones that you gave out too, especially that Jimmy G interception one.
Yeah, 44 carries thus far this season for AJ Dillon. I netted a whole 118 yards on those 44 carries, 2.7 yards per carry. None of the
In there, I think
games
is
he's
like a
got.
25, 26 yard run. Also,
Yeah. He had a long, so if we go back to the Saints game, he had a long rush of 14 yards. So if we take
oh,
that out of the equation, he had 10 carries for 19 yards in that game. And that was the game that he had, 3 yards per carry. So, yeah, I will definitely be looking out for that as well. AJ Dillon to go under on his player props in this game. Lonte, let's get over to some touchdown scores in this game before we get to best bets for this Monday Night Football game. Who do you like to find the end zone?
yeah. Let me. Have you heard anything? I don't remember at the top. Have you heard anything on Musgrave? Is he good to go?
I think he should be. Let me
I don't. I
double
didn't.
check here
I didn't
because I do
see anything
see.
on him.
Yeah, I mean, I do see him listed to score touchdowns at plus 245, but let me check
Hmm.
the injury report once again
No, it's
to
cool. It's
see.
cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with a few guys. I'm gonna go with Hunter Renfro to find the end zone. I like him at plus 280. I see plus 280 out here. I think that's the best we can get.
400 Renfro. I see a
Hunter
plus
Renfro.
350
Oh man,
on
that's even better.
DraftKings.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, plus 350. I like him to find the end zone. Also, I think Matthew Mayer is gonna get a lot more time here, especially if Davante Adams is not on the field. Give me Matthew Meyer, anytime touchdown score, 5-1. And I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. We've been bit. I think tight end is the SGPN anytime and first touchdown score champion around here. So I'm gonna go with Luke Musgrave plus 275. You see anything better than that?
No, I don't. Let me check this other side that gives me every single book here. Luke Musgrave. Anytime touchdown. I see plus 320
Yeah.
on FanDuel.
Love that. Let me get that, and then I'll probably sprinkle on the Green Bay defense to score a touchdown, thinking that Jimmy G might fumble six or pick six or something like that.
I think I'm high, like I mentioned, on the running backs in this game. I think this
Hmm.
might be a game that if Aaron Jones does get the bulk of the carries or the snap counts in this game, I think that he'll be able to find the end zone, whether that's rushing the football or
Hmm.
whether that's receiving the football. So for him to have 2+ touchdowns in this game is at plus 650. I think that he's definitely capable of doing that. Um, I agree about the Luke Musgrave, like you mentioned. I know we're all everyone that's on the Luke Musgrave hype train is waiting for him to score some more touchdowns here. So I'll co-sign on that one. And then as far as the Raiders side, I mean, you mentioned I think I don't want to say the obvious ones, but guys that if Davante Adams does not play in this game,
Hmm.
Hunter Renfro's a guy. Jacoby Myers probably want to throw out there as well, plus 205 right now, 12-1 to be the first touchdown score. So yeah, those are the kind of ones that I'm looking at here as well. If you want to throw in Green Bay Packers touchdown, like you mentioned, 7-1, whether it's a
Hmm.
pick six or a fumble, like you mentioned, for the
Yeah,
Green Bay Packers defense.
I'll be looking at the quarterbacks too. I think Jordan Love's like plus 450. Jimmy Garoppolo is always good around the goal line with those sneaks. Jordan
Mm-hmm.
Love uses his feet around the red zone as well. Um, it's another guy. Who else was I looking at? Oh, Jaden Reed on a long touchdown pass. I can see him being an anytime touchdown score as well.
Jaden Reed, I'm currently seeing plus 330 and then 17-1 to be the first touchdown
Yeah,
score
that's
in
not
this game.
first touchdown is probably better. I think 3-1 is a little short.
Yeah. All right, let's get into best bets here, Lonte, for the Monday Night Football game. What do you got for the people?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a player prop. I'm gonna go with Jaden Reed over 34 and a half receiving yards. That's widely available, but if you shop around, it is a 30 and a half hanging offshore. I'll let you dabble in that to figure out which book has that. I'm also gonna go with the over here, man. I think both rush defenses have been poor, so the rush attack will be there for both teams. I think a healthy Aaron Jones just adds even more dynamic to this Green Bay offense. Christian Watson getting more snaps, so more weapons for Jordan Love. I think both quarterbacks will be able to use their legs as well. if the pocket kind of collapses around him and to be able to escape. Jimmy G, not so much because of that concussion thing, but I do think Jordan Love will be able to use his legs a little bit more. So I think we see some points here. I'm going to go player prop, best bet, Jaden Reed over 34.5 receiving yards. Side, I'm going over 45.5. Oh, 45, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I'll close on the over with you there as well. Aaron Jones rushing yards, I'm currently seeing listed at 45.5 is the lowest number. Then consensus around 48.5 to 49.5 for Aaron Jones rushing yards in this game. I'm trying to see his receiving yards or his receptions. Right. I'm going to take the over on his receptions. I do see a 2.5 as my best bet for this game. 2.5 at BetMGM right now is at plus 105. FanDuel has it at 2.5 at plus 102. I know that, again, he's been a player that, again, has been dealing with the injuries and whatnot, but I do believe that this is a game where the running backs are going to be utilized in this game. And like I mentioned, that both these teams' defenses allow the third and fourth most receptions to the running back position through the first 4 weeks of the regular season. So I think this is an opportunity that, again, like we mentioned, that A.J. Dillon has not been playing well and running the ball effectively, where Aaron Jones should be able to get bulk of the snap counts here for the Green Bay Packers. So over 2.5 receptions for Aaron Jones as my best bet. Also, I'll co-sign the over with you as well. I also do like the Packers to win this game outright on the money line here. That number I see anywhere from a plus 114 all the way plus to a plus 125. So heavy on the Green Bay side here to go into Vegas and get the dub. Lonte, anything else, my man, before we get out of here?
No, not much, man. Best of luck to everybody on the bits. Hopefully we can get some news so we can get these props up. I think, I mean, I know you like the Packers, but I'm already on the Raiders at -1. But if it does get up to 3, if they rule Adams in, I'll probably just come back with the Packers thinking it could be a 2-point game here.
Yeah, I think the line probably moves up maybe half a point if Davante Adams is confirmed and maybe baked into the line a little bit.
Yeah,
but,
maybe because he missed Friday, right?
Yeah, he missed the Friday practice, which is usually an indicator.
That's not typically. I think. Yeah, I guess Thursday and Friday. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So we'll see. Again, I think Davante Adams is a guy that does want to gut it out and get out there against his former team, but definitely is a long season, and don't want to risk any more injury especially a shoulder injury for a wide receiver. All right, that's going to do it for this NFL Week 5 Monday Night Football betting preview between the Packers and the Raiders. Make sure to follow Lonte on Twitter at XXLonteXX. You can follow me on Twitter at SportsNerd824. More importantly, make sure you subscribe to the NFL Gambling Podcast YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. If you haven't already left us a rating and review, please go ahead and do so. It's greatly appreciated. We'll be back next week as usual for the Monday Night Football game, Week 6. Just going to take a peek on who we have next week for the Monday Night Football game.
Hopefully it's a good one.
It is going to be the Dallas Cowboys and the Chargers. Yeah, we got a pretty good one next week.
Game.
So definitely looking forward to that.
Over.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. So we'll be back. Yeah. We'll be back next week as far as the Monday Night Football game. So tune us with us at that time. And again, like I mentioned, please leave that rating and review if you haven't done so already. All right, good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off and let it ride.